In this video, I am going to teach you the basics of scripting in Horizon Worlds. This video is intended for people who have no prior scripting experience, so if you have no experience whatsoever with scripting, this is a video for you. If you are new to this channel, welcome. Metacrafters is an XR design studio. We have been creating virtual reality, augmented reality experiences since 2018. We have made tons of games. We have won some awards. We have made thousands of assets. As a matter of fact, we delivered over 35,000 assets to the Horizon Worlds community, and we are here to serve as a resource for all of your building needs. So if you're interested in creating virtual reality worlds in Horizon Worlds, please make sure to subscribe to see more content like this in your feed. In this tutorial, I'm going to introduce you to basics of scripting by creating this very simple script that opens the door and closes the door. So the door opens as I get closer. So I am in a player mode. As I continue walking towards the door, you will see that at some point the door is going to open in front of me. It did, and then it closed behind me. And once again I turn around and I walk towards the door opens, and then as I walk away, it closes behind me. This is what it looks like. It is a very simple mechanism. It requires only one script, only one trigger, and I will explain to you how to do this step by step, and in a process you will learn about the basics of scripting in Horizon Worlds. I am in a brand new world. As you can see, there is a spawn point over here and nothing else. Let's start by creating a wall and a door. So it's going to be really simple. I am going to go ahead and bring in a cube. Let's go ahead and bring in a cube. Here is my cube. And I am going to make it a little bit bigger. And let's go ahead and duplicate it. So this is my wall. Really simple. Going to duplicate this one, move this one here. This is going to be my door. Here it is. Really simple. I know we could do much better job styling this and making this look pretty, but for the purpose of a scripting tutorial, this should do. Okay, so scripts. If I go to my shapes over here, my gizmos rather, when I'm in my build menu, I do have a script option, and this is where I could just use the script gizmo. So let's go ahead and pull the script gizmo. I'm just going to click, hold to bring it over here. Let's close that, and this is my script. So how does scripting work in Horizon? Well, I could just open this script. Just go ahead and go into properties of the script. Whoa, that got really big. And now I am looking at the script itself, which right now is empty. First thing first, I'm going to name my script. Let's call it door instead of script. It is good to get into the habit of naming things in Horizon. Before you know it, you have a huge world, and if you don't name things properly, things get very confusing. Here is an important thing for you to understand about scripts in Horizon. Scripts have to be attached to something. Now, you could attach a script to an object. You could attach a script to the door. You could attach a script to the wall. You could attach a script to text even. You could attach a script to many different things. Most of the time, not always, but most of the time, you're going to be attaching scripts to triggers. Let's go ahead and introduce you to triggers. So when we go to our build menu over here, to gizmos, there is a trigger zone. Let's go ahead and click, hold to bring it over here. You see this transparent green box. This is our trigger. we are going to attach this script to this trigger. Now, what is a trigger? A trigger, as the word suggests, is going to trigger something to do something. In this case, what we're going to do is when the player walks into this area, then we're going to trigger this script to open this door. So a player walks into the green area, that's going to trigger this script to open this door. That's the plan. The green trigger that you see, it's actually invisible when you're in a player mode, and so is the script box over here. So if I go into the player mode, the only thing I can see is the door and the walls. I do not see the trigger, I do not see the script. Let's go into the edit mode. Alright, so we have the script, we have the trigger. Let's go into the trigger properties. And now in the trigger properties, I am going to attach this script to this trigger. You see where it says attached script? Right now nothing is attached, but if I click on this drop down box, I can choose door. That's what we named our script. So just like that, we attached this script to this trigger. Wonderful. Another thing you want to do is make sure that your trigger is set trigger on players. There are two types of triggers. Some triggers react to players walking into them or players touching them, and some triggers react to objects touching them or flying into them and so on. So make sure that your trigger is set to trigger on players. Just like that. All right, very good. Now, this trigger has this script attached to it. Let's go inside of the script window. And this is where we are going to say, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say that we want something to happen when a player walks into the trigger. So in the script editor, in that first window where it says events, you want to go back to where it says when trigger is entered by player. So you click, hold, and you drag it, there it is, and you drag it right here. When trigger is entered by player, just like this. All right? Now, what do we want to happen when trigger is entered by player? Well, we want to make this door become invisible. Basically, we want it to become invisible, and not just invisible, but also not collidable, because we want to be able to walk through it. So what we need to do is go over here, and we are going to choose, where is it? No, go over here to actions. So this is the third button, and we're going to say set object visibility to false. Set self visibility to false. This is what we have right now. Now, this is not quite finished yet, because we want to make sure that when you walk into this trigger, that this door becomes invisible. Right now it says self, which means that this thing that the script is attached to would become invisible. That's not quite what we want. What we need to do right now is create a variable for the door. On the right side, where you go over here to variables, click on a new variable, and here let's click and type in door, and let's make the type of the variable to be object, and click on confirm, just like this. So we have a variable door, and now let's move this door and put it instead of self. So looking at the script, it is pretty straightforward so far. When trigger is entered by player, so when this green trigger is entered by player, set the visibility of door to false. All right, makes sense so far. And this should work. This should work. Almost, we're almost there. Just because we typed in the word door doesn't mean that Horizon knows that this rectangle over here is a door. So we have to assign a variable. We have to tell Horizon that what we mean by door is this thing over here. To do that, let's go into the properties of the trigger itself. Now we have something new over here. You see where the script is attached, the script door is attached. We didn't see this before because the door variable didn't exist before, but notice that it says empty. So we need to tell Horizon that what do we consider to be door in this game. So right now it says empty, and all you have to do is click on the properties of the door in front of you. Here we are, and this is just a cube, but I'm going to say, I'm going to grab this cube over here and I'm going to put it here into this pill holder. And so now Horizon knows that what we consider to be door is this cube. All right, and this should work. Let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to go into the player mode. I'm going to walk, and as I walk, I'm going to walk into the trigger. Let's see what happens. And here it is. The door disappeared, just like that. Oh, I still can't walk through it, because just because it's invisible doesn't mean that it's not collidable. So we do have to fix that. Let's go back into the player mode. I'm going to go into the build mode. And let's reset everything. Let's go back to our script. You see where it says when trigger is entered by player, set door visibility to false. Let's go now to actions and let's use set object collidability. We also want to make sure that collidability is set to false, and also not for self but for door. So right now when the trigger is entered by player, the visibility will be false and the collidability is going to be false, and this should allow us to walk through the door. Let's take a look. Player mode, I'm walking, door opens, and it's not collidable. I was able to walk right through it. Well, look at that. Awesome. Now I can walk back and forth. Wonderful. So this works. We're not done yet. Let's add couple other things. So I'm going to go into the build mode. Let's go ahead and reset. And another thing I would like to do is I would like the door to close after I walk through it. So the way I'm going to do this is when I walk into the trigger, the door should open, but when I exit the trigger zone, I want the door to close. So let's go ahead and take a look at our script. You see where it says when trigger is entered by player, there is actually right here on the right side, make sure you're looking at events, and under events you will see, where is it? I scrolled way too low. When trigger is exited by player. So I'm going to have another event over here. When trigger is exited by player, I want the door visibility to be set to true, and I want the door collidability to also be set to true. So let's go ahead and make a copy of this one. So I click, hold, move my joystick to the right to make a copy, and we're gonna set this to true, and then the same thing with this, click, hold, move my joystick to the right to duplicate it, and set door collidability to true. So very simple script. When trigger is entered by player, visibility is set to false, collidability is set to false, but when trigger is exited by player, visibility is set to true and collidability is set to true. Let's see if that works. I'm going to go into the player mode. So I'm walking into the trigger. The door is invisible. Now I'm going to walk back to exit the trigger, and the door is visible again. Walk in, invisible, walk back, visible again. Let's go into the edit mode. Probably what I want to do over here is move this trigger so it starts over here and it sticks out a little bit on the other side as well. So this way I will be able to go back and forth, right? So let's try again. Gonna go into the player mode. When I walk closer to the door opens, and as I continue walking, the door closes behind me. But then when I walk to the door, it opens, and then it closes behind me, just like this. All right, not bad. Let's add a sound effect to this. So let's add a sound effect. So you will see, I'm just gonna move the script over here. You will see that you can add a trigger. You can make the trigger cause things to happen, not just making things invisible, collidable, not collidable. You can make many things happen. You can, for example, trigger a sound effect or and some kind of visual effect as well. So I'm going to go into my build menu. Let's go ahead and take a look at my sounds. Let's see if there is a door sound over here. All right, I found a sound effect that says wood door open, and I found another sound effect that says wood door close. Great. So we have one sound over here that sounds like opening of the door, and I have one sound over here that sounds like closing of the door. Let's use both of them. Let's go to the script. Before we do anything, we do have to create variables. Anytime you want to use an object like a sound effect, you need to create a variable. So over here, I'm going to go to variables, and I'm going to create a sound, and I just type in sound door open, and the type is object. Click on confirm, and let's go ahead and create another sound door close. You can name this whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you write, as long as you remember what you write. So here it is. We have sound door open and sound door close. Now let's take a look at our script over here. When trigger is entered, we want to open the door. So let's go on the right side. We have events, motion, actions. Under actions, you should be able to find a play sound action. Let's go ahead and drag it here. Play sound on self. No, I don't want it to play on self. I want it to play sound on sound door open. Just like this. And when the trigger is exited by player, I want to play sound on sound door close, just like this. So this is not going to work yet because we have not assigned these objects to our trigger yet. If I click on my trigger, I go to the variables, I go to the properties. You see where it says sound door open is empty, sound door close is empty. Let's go ahead and take a look at this sound object. This is wood door open. I'm going to drag this to sound door open. Looks good. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here with wood door close. Okay, looks good. I'm going to set both of them to global now, just so we can easily hear them for the purpose of this tutorial. And now it should work. Let's go ahead and I'll make sure my speakers are on. Let's go ahead and see if that works. So here is the door. I walk close to the door. I could hear it, and now when I leave, I can hear it close behind me. Opens, and it closes. All right, not bad, not bad. You know what, let me go ahead and just style it very quickly because it does bother me a little bit. I'm going to go to my style menu over here. Let's change the metal to solid is good. Let's make it kind of like a brownish wood color for the door, and maybe we are going to have some kind of a, let's see, wall texture for this, and I am going to expand the trigger a little bit. Let's see what happens. All right, opens, closes behind me, opens, and then it closes behind me, and that's it. And this hopefully helped introduce you to basics of scripting in Horizon Worlds. I hope you enjoyed our tutorial. If you want to keep learning, make sure to subscribe and you will see more videos like this show up in your feed.